To D&D players, what's the best moment you've had in a game? My group was going into a cave to take on goblins and a bugbear, and the bard in our group has a disguise kit, so he thought that the best way to sneak up on the goblin sentry would be to put green paint all over himself, he's a gnome, and just casually walk up to the goblin. Needless to say, he rolled well and the goblin rolled poorly. He just casually walked up to the goblin and stabbed him in the throat. I allowed an insta-crit because it was just the funniest shit ever. He even did the voice all goblin-y. One of the best moments I've had as a DM. First session, we were dropped off in some cave. We didn't know each other yet. One of the players, a summoner, pathfinder, new guy in our group, kept asking for his wife. We were all confused, as there was no other player. Then we heard a scream. We went outside, only to see his wife get ripped apart by two monstrous centipedes. The player blacked out, and we had to fend off the centipedes without him. After the battle, he came by, shouting for his wife again. She appeared, or more accurately, his eidolon was now his wife, albeit with huge claws and other unnatural things about it. He didn't seem to notice. He got all weird on us when we broached the subject of his wife, as if he had repressed the entire event that we all just saw. Second battle of the day, he summoned centipedes. It was all a bit jarring. Usually we aren't this serious, but it was a good start to a campaign. Kudos to the player. A friend invited me to play my first D&D game in April or May, and he'd made a small dungeon with a few pre-made characters. We grabbed each character out of a hat, and I rolled a human ranger. Okay, cool. We got to our first encounter with a few bandits, and I was up first. I wanted to shoot a bandit, so I rolled a d20, and a 20 came up. He said to roll a couple other die to see what percentage the critical 20 roll was going to be. It came up 0 and 0, 0 on the two die, and I thought, well, at least I tried. The table got quiet until the guy next to me erupted. On his first roll, in his first game, he walks into a room and blows a guy's head off? Is he just going to Legolas the whole fucking room? I asked the DM if the bandit was wearing a helmet and if it mattered. And he replied, yes, the bandit was wearing a helmet, which conveniently turned his head into a lovely bowl of tomato soup. My first character I ever played was a very socially awkward druid who was raised in the forest by a hermit. Said hermit died, leading this poor, innocent, and completely naive little nature lover into town and into an adventure with a ragtag band of characters. This poor child had never even seen a big city before, other than from a distance at the top of a tree. So he was very much culture shocked and not good with people in general. After much faffing about and fighting of monsters on our quest, one of our party members threw me to the wolves when I failed a stealth roll to sneak into an enemy camp disguised and claimed that he was one of their number and that I was some imposter trying to follow them. I was subsequently captured, interrogated, and had my neck snapped afterwards. Considering how attached I was to this character, the DM allowed me to continue playing, with the caveat that my nature magic had wild-shaped me into a bear to heal from my injury and allow me to survive, but this became my default form. And my wild shape ability now allowed me to take human form for only 2 hours a day at this point in the level progression. After this incident, we got back on the road with a caravan where we met a half-orc played by a friend that was in town for 2 weeks, so temporary mercenary-type character, who was affectionately nicknamed Fuzzy Pants for the fact that he wore a rather skimpy pair of leather briefs and had legs so hairy that he appeared to be wearing a pair of fuzzy pants. Anyway, we get into town for the night, and I change into my human form so we can get some food and get a room at the local inn. But before we can get all settled in, Fuzzy Pants decides he wants me to try my first ale, because I'm far too uptight. He rolls a persuasion roll against me and I fail utterly to resist, so I have an ale. My character is instantly smashed because he's never had a sip of alcohol before, and a second persuasion roll gets me to have another drink and buy a round for the whole tavern. At this point, I'm drunk out of my mind and forgetting that I have a time limit, and just as I'm finishing my second drink, poof, I'm a bear again, right in the middle of the tavern. There's silence for a second, and then an uproar of laughter and cheers from the patrons who think it's awesome. I'm presented with a bucket of ale to continue getting drunk as a bear. Somewhere around this time, we blacked out, and when I awoke the next morning, I found myself still in bear form, with a rope lead around my neck that is being held by Fuzzy Pants, who has his arms wrapped around me. The DM then informs me that 20 gold has been added to my purse and advises me not to ask how I earned it. And that's the story of how my character became a bear and then lost his virginity to a half-orc named Fuzzy Pants. I had reached a point in a campaign where me and my party had defeated a particularly nasty lot of enemies and were about to collect a large amount of treasure. The DM had made the rest of the map very sparse with treasure, so we knew we must have hit the motherlode, except to find out someone in our party was a doppelganger, and had been for a while. It killed the rest of us, and the whole campaign ended just like that. It got my super paranoid of doppelgangers in all future games of D&D. Not me, but a member of our party. We entered combat with a god that regenerates himself, basically meant to be a run-for-your-fucking-life encounter. We all tried to hold out, but eventually, one by one, our party resigned and sprinted for the door. Only 2 of our party mates stayed to fight for the death, a paladin and a barbarian whose oath was to never run from battle. The paladin was knocked 30 feet back and knocked out of combat. It's just the barbarian and an NPC with him. Before I left, I gave him my 4 health potions and wished him luck, hoping it would buy him time to change his mind. He fights for his life for hours. Between him and the NPC, they use 6 health potions to become conscious again, 3 times each. Eventually, our barbarian cuts a hole and hops inside the god and cuts him up from whatever realm is inside. The god, still alive, retreats, and many times over-fatigued, our barbarian finds a place to hide and sleep. We don't know where. Cut back to the rest of the party, next session. We're wandering through the wreckage of the castle, and the whole party just wants to get the fuck out. I am at the back, and I'm about to beeline the exit with the rest, but decide to check the cupboards for any leftover potions or anything. Lo and behold, I find our armless, unconscious barbarian shoved in a cupboard, and we bring him back from the brink of death. Unbe-fucking-lievable. Okay, so a story goes along with this. I was playing D&D the other day with my party. My character is a dragonborn paladin, a 7 to 8 foot humanoid dragon crusader, basically. We ambushed a cave with a bunch of orcs and an ogre. One of my party members shot the orc leader through the head. This led to the other orcs getting frightened and running out of the cave. I let the orcs run past me, allowing the rest of my party to deal with them, and walk slowly into the cave to face the ogre alone. I sync my phone up to some speakers. Cue Duel of the Fates. I stand at the mouth of the cave, flaming flail in one hand, shield in the other. The ogre roars from the other side of the cave. I run around my adversary, jumping off a rock to bring the flail down on his head with divine smite. A crack of lightning and blinding light issues from the impact. The ogre takes a swing with his club, connecting with my side. I am put to ground, the monstrosity looming over me. As it is about to bring the club down on me again, I swing my flail, kneecapping the bastard. This brings a mighty bellowing as the monster falls to its knee. I stand to regain my breath as the ogre does the same. He lunges at me with a 2-swing combo. The first strikes, bringing my health down to 5. I manage to bring my shield up in time to block the second, surely fatal blow. The impact pushes me back from the enemy. As the music begins to approach its climax, I start to spin my flail again, the pointed edges catching fire with my searing smite spell. Right as the masterful John Williams conducts the final cadence, I bring my weapon up to meet the jaw of the ogre. Its head explodes into flame as its skull shatters. I slow-mo walk out of the cave as my victim's smoldering corpse sinks to the ground behind me. TLDR, Duel of the Fates while fighting an ogre in D&D. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy what we do, or you hate what we do, or you have a story that you'd like us to do, please let us know with your comments. We're all just kind of playing it by ear at this point, so feel free to help us improve the channel.